Welcome. My name is Linda Bennett. I'm the president of the University of Southern Indiana. And welcome. Welcome to USI's Performance Center. If you've not been here before, this theater was designed to be a very intimate setting. And I can't think of a better setting for a very intimate topic, and that is aging. So I think it's a beautiful setting for a fascinating topic. I am very honored to welcome Dr. Bill Thomas and the Changing Aging Avengers to USI and to Evansville. Over the last few months, Dr. Thomas has become a very special friend to USI and to this community. And I want to say welcome back, Dr. Thomas. Tonight's signature performance, Life's Most Dangerous Game, will begin in just a few moments. This cast of the Avengers will ask, what if we all lived in a world that saw aging not as a process of decline, but as a vivid and enlivening process that presents us with extraordinary risks and rewards? What if some of the best is still ahead? I would like to take a moment to recognize the support of our premier sponsors for this performance this evening. The University of Southern Indiana, the University of Southern Indiana Foundation, AARP, and AARP Indiana, and Holiday Retirement and their local community, Willow Park. And now, let me turn the stage over to the Changing Aging Avengers.
Well, I am Dr. Bill Thomas. If you were looking for me, you found me. And it is true, this is an extraordinary environment to be together, to celebrate and to search and to learn. And it's really my pleasure to be here with you tonight. Now, what you're seeing tonight is the final show of the 2018 season and the 125th show of our tour, National Anthem. So now you know what it takes to meet USI standards. You have to practice 124 times. And we came here invited to join you and be with you here tonight because we're really fascinated by this extraordinary institution of higher learning, this extraordinary local community that exists here in Southern Indiana. And as I've traveled the world, I've rarely seen its equal in terms of a university and a community in partnership. And this performance tonight should be seen as the opening act of what we hope is going to be an intensive, creative collaboration over the next 12 months that I believe is going to lead USI into a world leadership position in the field of bringing younger people and older people back together at the heart of our communities and our society. So I am going to be somebody, if you're from here or you're on campus or from the community, it's likely you're going to see me and the Avengers running around campus making mayhem. And you'll remember that it all got started right here on this stage tonight. Last thing I'll just say is that we are privileged to have the opportunity to be with you. And I want to dedicate this performance tonight to the founders of this university. And I'd like to call them to mind in this moment that their foresight and their passion and their hard work and diligence gave us this beautiful opportunity to explore the future together. So, without further ado, let's explore life's most dangerous game.
But you did die last year. get lost or be found. Slow down, discover, loving each other is living now. Slow down and listen, know your heart is true now. Slow down, slow down. We are here together, so let's move on together. We don't have forever, it's a long road. We are on a journey, there's no need to hurry. So let's go slow and steady. Slow down and listen. Slow down, discover. Slow down and listen. We can get lost or be found. Slow down, discover, loving each other is living now. Slow down and listen, know your heart is true now. Slow down, slow down.
Thank you.
Until one May morning, I had a health science class. And you know that kind of May morning when you'd really rather not be in the lecture hall? I'm sure you do. And I went anyway, and I sat down, and the professor was talking about blood pressure. And I'm telling you, I was fascinated. This was incredible stuff. She was talking about systolic and diastolic and the 5 Korotkov sounds, and I was making notes so fast I got a cramp in my hand. This was great. And at the end of the lecture, the professor spoke a sentence that changed my life. She said, "But, of course, none of you will ever do this." And I kind of stumbled back out into that warm May morning, you know, with that blue sky and those brand new leaves. And I thought to myself, that is not right. I want to do that. 2 weeks later, I changed my major to pre-med. 2 years later, I was admitted to Harvard Medical School. And I'm telling you, I don't think they ever had a student show up as excited as I was. Totally jazzed, because this is the place where I was going to learn all the secrets. Incredible. Now, many of you know that the first 2 years of med school are actually mostly in the classroom and the laboratory. And it's not until the 3rd year that they actually let you near patients. I think that's probably a good idea. And my very first rotation was in the ICU at Beth Israel Hospital in Boston. And on the my first day of clinical experience in medical school, in that ICU, they called a code. A 90-year-old woman's heart had stopped beating. Everybody came running. And my job was to do the chest compressions. And I was the one who broke her ribs. And the code was not successful. And after it was over, of course, people wandered away, but I couldn't. I mean, here was this woman lying in bed. I didn't know her name. I'd never spoken to her. And here was this face and these eyes that no longer saw this world. And I realized on my first day, whoa, this is for real. I put in my 3rd year and 4th year of medical school and then started a residency in family medicine. And honestly, my favorite part of the residency was actually obstetrics. I did a lot of obstetrics and got to spend a lot of time with mothers who were actually delivering their babies, and I got to help. I never delivered a baby. The mothers always did that. But I got to help. And there were many times that I got to hold this brand new little human in my hands as that little human being looked at the world for the first time. Incredible. And then I'd lay that baby on its mother's chest. And slowly, I began to understand something about we human beings. We are born into this world with these perfect little bodies, but we have no story. And all of our lives, we exchange that perfection for a one-in-a-universe story of a human life that will never be repeated. You know, the gravestones get it wrong. They give you the date of birth and the date of death. But all the living is in the hyphen. All of the challenges, all of the struggles are there in that hyphen. And one of the most difficult things we human beings struggle to understand is the difference between truth and delusion. Our eyes, our ears, and especially our minds excel at the art of deception. For example, your eyes can perceive colored dots moving in straight lines, but your mind insists that there's a circle spinning inside of a circle. There is no spinning circle. It's an illusion.
We are surrounded by illusions. For example, what you hear depends on what you see. Listen, can you hear the sweet sound of rain?
Our eyes and our ears are easily deceived. Because when you see something different, you hear something different.
You think you're hearing rain, but it's actually just me at home in my kitchen, feeding my kids.
Oh, we are surrounded by illusions. They're everywhere. And some of them are really quite pleasant. For example, my favorite illusion is the moon illusion. And who among us has not called someone to our side on a warm summer evening and said, "Oh, look at that moon. It's so big." It's not big. Your eye perceives the moon to be the same size at every point in the sky. It's your mind that magnifies the moon. Your mind sees the moon right there by those trees, right by those houses. So close, it must be big. That big moon, it's an illusion. Other illusions are much more powerful. Other illusions actually change how we live and how we think about ourselves, how we think about the lives we are given to lead. And there's an illusion that you have been party to since your earliest days, but very few people in this theater know its name. It goes by an unusual name, neoteny. Neoteny is the illusion of youth, or, to use more scientific language, the persistence of juvenile traits in the adult form. Human beings love the illusion of youth. They love neoteny, and they always have. In fact, we love neoteny so much we breed it into our pets. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, listen. I am going to give you another chance. I have just shown you a cute puppy. You can do better than that. Ready? Faith restored. This little puppy grows up. Still looks like a puppy. Big floppy ears. We love this. This is not an accident. This is centuries of breeding. Try it again. Cute. All grown up? Now, if you're a scientist, you say, that's neoteny. One more. All grown up? It turns out that wolves do not have the slightest interest in neoteny. They don't care about the illusion of youth. In fact, once you become aware of this illusion, the illusion of youth, you can see evidence of it all over the place.
Our favorite cartoon characters are really recognizable because they have these great big heads and big eyes and little noses and little bodies that go with them, and their voices just sound like they can't possibly belong to a normal person. And that's how a 100-year-old mouse sounds like this.
The ancient Greeks also loved neoteny, couldn't get enough of it. A lot of you, since I'm here at a university, recognize this character. This is Apollo, the god of music and healing. In this picture, he's thousands of years old and hasn't even started shaving yet. Now, even here at USI, some people will not recognize this character. Some of you will. This is the Greek goddess Eos, the goddess of the dawn and the patron of youth. She had a sister, Selene, the goddess of the moon, ancient and renewed every single month. Before we go, of course, there's the Greek god of love, Eros. Seems kind of young for the job. All of human experience, all of it is shaped and modified and formed by our taste for the illusion of youth. And that in itself is an effort to imagine a way of living that's outside of time, that somehow frees us from the passage of time. But the truth is, we are right here, right now. And we will never live outside of time.
probably be the oldest man that Jesus never saved, unless there's something I don't know. Like, where do we come from? Where do we go?
1917, 100 years ago, people asking questions that nobody knows the answers to. Where do we go? Where do we come from? Does anybody know? I ain't going nowhere, nowhere in time. I am only here right now. I am yours and you are mine. Sometimes I wonder if stories told are true, that we're a part of everything, and I'm a part of you. We live dangerously.
Oh yeah.
I ain't going nowhere, nowhere in time. I am only here right now. I am yours and you are mine. Sometimes I wonder if stories told are true. We're a part of everything, and I'm a part of you. We're a part of everything, and I'm a part of you.
We ain't going nowhere. Nowhere but right here and right now. And if that's true, there's no better time to begin separating truth from illusion. And let me tell you, I might be a geriatrician, an expert on aging, and I might be a passionate advocate for the worth and the value of the second half of life, but I am willing to admit the truth in front of everyone here tonight and without reservation. Youth is appealing. Heck yeah. Nothing wrong with that. Around the world and through history, people have written songs and told stories and composed poems all about the ephemeral beauty of youth. In fact, even right now, when neuroscientists study our reaction to just looking at pictures of young people, they find that our heart rate ticks up a notch. Our pupils dilate about 1 millimeter, and we lean ever so slightly forward in our seats. It's almost as if human beings are wired to find youth appealing. And I'm okay with that. But that's the truth. We also have to wrestle with the illusion. The illusion is that youth is perfect. And that's not right. This idea that youth is perfect distorts our perception of ourselves, changes how we see ourselves, changes what we see in the mirror. It changes what we see in the magazines and on television. It gives us expectations of a way to live a life that are unhealthy and flat out wrong. In fact, there is a modern mythology of youth that everybody in this theater is a participant in. And this mythology begins with a bump. You're born, and oh my goodness, you're a little bundle of possibilities. Everybody tells you you can go anywhere, you can do anything. There's nothing you can't accomplish, and the sky isn't even the limit. Not for you, because you're young. And then you turn 28. This is no way to live a life. And, you know, if you draw it down on a graph, it looks like this. And the problem here is that we live in a society that assigns all beauty, all strength, all virtue, all tenacity to the left-hand side and leaves nothing for the right-hand side. And that's no way to live a life. We modern Americans have failed to reconcile truth and illusion, our longevity and our mortality. And it's messing things up. The good news, I must say, is that we are not the first people in history to get this sideways. In fact, the ancient Greeks also worked hard to understand how it could be that we could live so long and be young for such a short time. And what is the meaning of all of this life after we turn 28? Fortunately, those ancient Greeks left us two stories that they used to explain this important distinction between truth and illusion. And here I am at USI. In this beautiful theater, I have a Cora and a man who knows how to use it. And the question is, would you like to hear these two ancient Greek myths? No, I don't think they want to hear it, Nate. Let's try again. Would you like to hear these ancient Greek myths? I'm telling you, it's a better way to live, isn't it? The first story is about the Greek goddess Eos. You know her, the goddess of the dawn, the patron of youth. You remember her. Well, the Greeks said that not only was she extraordinary in every way, she was also, they said, perhaps the most beautiful of all the Greek goddesses. Some of you caught a glimpse of her this morning. That rosy glow in the east that came before the rising of the sun, that was Eos. Beautiful. Well, you know, sometimes Sometimes, even Greek goddesses have quirky little things about them. And the thing about Eos is that she was attracted to mortal men. I don't know why. But as dawn would break in the ancient world, Eos would look down and check out the guys. And one morning, as dawn was breaking in the ancient city of Troy, Eos looked down and caught sight of a Trojan prince. His name was Tithonus. He walked out onto the walls of the city, dawn in Troy. She fell in love right there. But there was a problem. She was an immortal goddess and he was a mortal man. And if you want to talk about a mixed marriage, that would be one right there. There was only one thing she could do. She had to climb Mount Olympus.
Eos, what brings you to the Hall of the Gods?
Almighty Zeus, I come before you to ask that you give my lover Tithonus the gift of immortality.
Tithonus is a man. Man is not meant to live forever.
Yes, but I love him.
Love. Do you wish to be with him forever?
Oh, yeah.
All right, Eos, it shall be as you wish.
Thanks, Dad.
That next morning, dawn breaking in Troy, dawn slipping in through the window of Tithonus's bedchamber. Eos walked up beside her lover and bent down and whispered into his ear.
Tithonus, I love you so much. I have gone to Almighty Zeus and asked that he give you the gift of immortality, and he has granted it. And so you and I will go to my palace in the east, and we will dine on nectar and ambrosia, and we will be happy and together forever.
Wow. Well, you know, Greek goddesses, they know love. And it was true. They fell deeply in love. Years passed. Decades passed. And then, one morning as Eos was getting up to go to work, she bent down to kiss her lover and noticed something new. A gray hair. And pretty soon, Tithonus got old. And then he got older and older and older and older and older and older. Got older than anybody'd ever gotten before. And then he got older and older and older because he was immortal and he could not die. His once booming voice faded into a little chirp. His once powerful limbs shriveled up. And at long last, his beloved Eos took pity on him. And she changed him into a grasshopper. And that's where grasshoppers come from. So if you're here for a bio class, you're good. Well, that was a strange story. But it turns out the Greeks had another story that served as a bookend to that story. You remember I told you that Eos had a sister named Selene, the moon. And I don't know, but sometimes sisters, they have certain things in common. Yes, they were both beautiful, but Selene also was attracted to mortal men. Again, I don't know why. But Selene caught sight of a young shepherd named Endymion. Endymion. She loved him at first sight. Same problem. What are you gonna do? Selene had to climb Mount Olympus.
Selene, why are you here?
Almighty Zeus, I come before you to ask that you give my lover Endymion the gift of immortality.
Selene, do you not recall what happened to your brother-in-law? The grasshopper?
Yes. And so I ask this, that you keep him forever young.
You want me to make a man immortal and forever young?
Yes.
Do you love him?
More than anything.
Then it shall be as you ask. Now go, now go, now go, now go.
That next night, the moon came down to the earth. Selene knelt beside her lover, bending down to kiss him. But she found him asleep. And no matter what she did, she could not wake him up. And so she realized that Zeus had given Endymion 3 divine gifts: immortality, eternal youth, and perpetual sleep. He never died, never grew old, and never woke up. It was in this way that the goddess of the moon learned what all humans must understand. All dreams must end.
Here at the end of the highway, we're walking the hard roads that bend through the night. Now the dream is no longer, so let us go seeking original light. Here at the end of the dream, his magic is dying in a slow fading burn. Here at the end of the dream, new magic is calling, and we've got to learn. I've danced in the moonlight, one time too many, you take what I mean. I've lived in beautiful mansions, but I live where I need to at the end of the dream. we open our eyes up and new worlds are born. Now the dream is all over. We see through the shadows at the end of the road. It's time for us to start speaking. Let's tell all the stories that need to be told. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. They've reached for the railing, and it wasn't there. Here at the end of the dream, there is nothing but hard ground, nothing but air. Here at the end of the dream, we've got a good notion of where to begin. Here at the end of the dream, it will be a long time till we sleep again.
Nate Silas Richardson. Yeah, actually, it is time to tell all the stories that need to be told. We can feel the tragedy of Endymion's story because although he was immortal and eternally young, he didn't get to live. This happens more than you might suppose. For example, I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, and my family belonged to a Methodist church. And when I got to be about 12 years old, my mom decided it would be a good idea if I joined the junior choir. Mrs. Kunte, the choir director, did not agree. And they made a special rule for me, which was stand in the back and just move your lips. And everybody told me that I was tone deaf, and that was that. And for 40 years, I couldn't imagine anything else. I was asleep. Asleep until one day I was visiting a friend living in an apartment building, and as I came downstairs and the elevator opened up, there was a bulletin board, and some people here remember the actual board for bulletins. It was the thing. And so on this bulletin board was a sheet of paper that said, anyone can learn to sing. And it just hit me in that moment. Hey, I'm anyone. I could learn to sing. And so I tore off the number at the bottom and I called up the teacher, and the teacher brought me to the studio and walked me to the piano and played a note and said, "Sing this note." And the really good news was I was not sharp or flat. The not as good news is that I was 5 notes off. She had the patience of a saint. And I went every week for 2 years and took singing lessons. I got a guitar, and I took guitar lessons. And I really want to emphasize, I was really bad. Really bad. And here's the story that needs to be told. A little while ago, I turned to pick up that guitar and put it on and to play and sing for you, and it terrified me. My heart was pounding in my chest. Because even if I studied singing and took guitar lessons, I'm not very good. But I do it anyway, because I want to live. I do not want to be Endymion. I do not want to sleep forever. That's the thing that Endymion was denied. He didn't live because he never got to choose. And if you ever wonder what life's most dangerous game is, it's choosing. Choosing is how we live. And before we can choose, we have to wake up.
That's right. You heard the doctor. It's time to wake up, America. It's time to play America's favorite brain-teasing game. Let's play Digits. And here's your host, Namara McCall.
How you doing, folks? How you doing, folks? Welcome to Digits. And I'm your host, Namara McCall. This is the game where we put you to the test. Now, before we get started, I'd like to bring out my dainty and lovely assistant, Nate Silas Richardson. Can we bring him out, folks? Oh, isn't he lovely? Isn't he lovely? All right, so here is how we play the game. For each digit that you see, add 1, then shout out the answer to me. I really need to hear you. Shout out the answer to me, okay? We'll see if you got it right. Let's do a practice round, okay? You guys are pretty confident. Let's see. All right. We were checking to see if you were right. Okay. Now that we know that you were right, let's do another one. Okay, 57, okay. Survey says. Okay. For each digit that you see, the light bulb goes on. Okay, so we've got it. 56 becomes 67. Let's try another. Ready? I hear so many answers. There's no way I know what you said. Let's see what happens. Okay. I don't know why we got that wrong. Oh, Nate knows. So you know when you're driving and when you look at the odometer, it goes from 9 to 0, not to 10. So now we all know how this works. Let's do a lightning round. Ready? Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3. Okay. It's a lightning round. We're going. Okay. All right. So you didn't get the grand prize for the lightning round. It's okay. We have a consolation prize for you.
Today's contestants have won a perfectly understandable explanation of exactly what the heck we're trying to explain with this silly game. And who better to give the explanation than Dr. Bill Thomas. Come on out here, Bill.
So I am your consolation prize. Well, what was going on there? Actually, we were redoing a fascinating paper that was published in the Journal of Neuroscience. A group of neuroscientists wanted to explore how our brains and our minds change across the lifespan. So they recruited a bunch of people of all different ages, and they gave them exactly these kinds of math problems. Then they recorded their answers and how long it took them to calculate and so on and so forth. And they put all of their data in a big spreadsheet and analyzed it. And here's what they discovered. Younger people are better at this game than older people. But because they're scientists, they asked exactly. And it turns out there's two reasons why younger people are better at this than older people. First, older people recognize a silly game when they see one. And the very beginning of wisdom is seeing a silly game and saying, I'm not playing. You should try it. The other reason actually had more to do with neuroscience, and I'm going to, instead of using the neuroanatomical terms, I'm going to use a metaphor of a filing cabinet, but the paper is really fascinating. So what they did is they understood that young people and old people walk around with a filing cabinet in their heads. Okay, we all do. And when we're young, there's plenty of room in the filing cabinet, but much more importantly, the filing system is quite neat. So when a young person goes looking for 8023, it's right where they left it. Hasn't moved. And they find it like that. Older people also have a filing cabinet in their heads, full of the weirdest stuff you can imagine. And some of it has fallen down and back. And the filing system is not as neat as it used to be. So sometimes when an older person is looking for 8023, it's not in the first file they look in, and sometimes it's not in the first drawer. Now, that's true. But here's where that mythology of youth's perfection gets in the way. We tend to automatically think that being able to do rapid mental arithmetic is important and valuable because young people are good at it. Actually, who cares? No one cares. What happens in our society is that we take a perfectly normal thing, which is looking in different drawers and different folders for 8023, and we give it a name that is supposed to inspire shame. We call it a senior moment. And people are supposed to be embarrassed by this, that they can't say 8023 right away. Well, here's the thing. Here's your real consolation prize. Before I finish, you, people in this room, will never have another senior moment again as long as you live. Deal? Yeah. Sweet. I think it's better than the grand prize, really. So, the reason that we misunderstand this is that this ability to open more than one folder and more than one drawer also gives us a mental superpower called gist. And when these same scientists test young people and old people on their gist ability, older people are a lot better than younger people at catching the story behind the story and the meaning behind the meaning. It's a superpower. And if you've ever had teenagers living in the house with you, you know what I mean. So, it is the very fact that older people activate more of their brains and make more connections between more regions that they are able to detect and perceive and appreciate connections that are often missed by younger people who go straight to the answer. Making sense to you? The gist power is amazing. And if I gave you a pill that would take away your gist power but allow you to do mental arithmetic more rapidly, nobody would take that pill. Because that's a bad trade. So back to the senior moment. The senior, what they call senior moment, is actually what neurologists call the tip of the tongue phenomenon. The person hasn't forgotten anything. 8023 is in there. It's just not in the folder they left it in. And so they're looking, the brain is actively coordinating between the hemispheres and between different regions in the brain, sort of searching for the answer. And that is powerful. It is, in fact, a neuroscientific basis for what we call wisdom. Amazing. And the only price you pay for this extraordinary ability is now and then not recalling a name or a number as quickly as you'd like. So here's how you put an end to senior moments forever. The next time you're hanging out with friends, you're out to dinner, you're in a conversation with a group of people, and you're like, and what was his name? You stop right there. You look at the people you're with. You just lean back like this. Cross your arms like this. And you just say, yeah, I'm kind of amazing. It's just my gist power. Pretty awesome, huh? Just because society has ageist attitudes and ageist insults doesn't mean we have to buy into them, especially when the science tells us a different story. Our minds and our brains keep growing our whole life. There's an abundance of evidence for this. But how they grow changes as we pass through the decades of life. That's just the story behind the story. And catching the gist is one of the best ways to wake up.
Tired limbs congeal if not awoken soon enough. Moment passes quickly in the morning. Clock won't wake you up if you forget to turn it on. The moment has just passed, the day's been born. So wake up and live your life. Future's getting closer, future's getting closer. Wake up, take this good advice. As you're getting older, won't you be a little bolder? Even when the nights grow colder, you must live. Moment slips away if you don't catch it while it's there. Don't you worry, another time will come. Another time is now, my friend, believe me when I said you missed it, but you'll catch it if you run. Wake up and live your life. Future's getting closer, future's getting closer. Wake up, take this good advice. As you're getting older, won't you be a little bolder? Even when the nights grow colder, you must live. Night is falling down as you look back upon the day. Did you do what you set out to do? Beauty of your life is that no matter what they say, the only one who has control is you. Wake up and live your life. Future's getting closer, future's getting closer. Wake up, take this good advice. As you're getting older, you should be a little bolder. Even when the nights grow colder, you must wake up, live your life. Future's getting closer, future's getting closer. Wake up, take this good advice. As you're getting older, won't you be a little bolder? Even when the nights grow colder, you must live.
I mentioned before that I'm a geriatrician, which is kind of the opposite of a pediatrician. And I had the privilege of spending a couple of decades in practice every day in the company of very old people. So in addition to appreciating research, like for example in the Journal of Neuroscience, I also got to study with the real experts, the people who really understand how to live after you turn 28. And as time went on, I began to distill the lessons they were teaching me into a simple collection of ideas that I use to understand and appreciate the value of that part of life when we are no longer young. And I used the word mesh to remind me of what matters most. mesh. Move, eat, sleep, and heal. Let's start with move. That body you've been carrying around with you all these years, it was made to move. It's supposed to move. And normal human aging enforces a rule. The rule says, use it or lose it. So, if you can imagine what you would like your body to be able to do 15 years from now, do that today. Do that every day. Because if you want to be dancing at the White House when you're 106, you better be dancing when you're 105. Move your body. Eat. Living as we do in a youth-obsessed society, we can get the idea that food is your enemy. In fact, food is your friend. Food is the source of all of your strength. The best diet advice for a long life I've ever encountered is this. Eat a variety of foods. Not too much. Mostly plants. And perhaps even more importantly, is to remember and gain strength from that virtue that the Romans called convivium. The pleasure that comes with sharing good food in good company. It's not just for holidays. We are supposed to take joy in good food shared in good company. In fact, it's how we make progress in this world, as a family, as a society, as an institution. Sleep. Here, the problem is pretty clear. Americans have bad sleep hygiene. And by hygiene, I'm using the original meaning of the word, healthy habits. Our sleeping habits are not good. And we carry around assumptions about sleep that are just plain wrong. For example, there are people in their 70s who believe they're supposed to sleep the way a 15-year-old boy sleeps. You know how that works. Into the bedroom. Fall on the bed. 12 hours go by. Poof. I'm hungry. Now, if you're 75 and you think that's how you're going to sleep, you're wrong. I like to think of it this way. When we're young, we're a lot like kids at holiday time. Little kids think the best presents come in the biggest boxes. And when we sleep as young people, we get a big box of sleep. Older people know that the best presents come in the little boxes. And as we get older, our sleep comes to us as beautiful little presents wrapped up in small packages. and it's all right. So, I have one thing to ask of you. Tonight, when you wake up at 3:17 a.m., you think of me. And you just remember, it's all right. This is how I sleep now. And take just a moment to enjoy the quiet, the tranquility, the peace. Take a moment to be grateful for all your blessings. And another beautiful little package of sleep will come to you. And it is good. Finally, the most important lesson of all. Heal. When I went to medical school all those years ago, I was certain I was going to be a healer. But it never worked out. I never healed anybody. All my patients actually did all the healing. I just got to be a guide and a counselor, an advisor. And I'm not the only one who's mistaken about healing. And I have to say, for this, I blame the television doctors. They give us this idea that healing is going back to the way we used to be. And that's not right. The truth is, we can never go back. And there are people here with us tonight in this very room who know the truth in the marrow of their bones. People here who've lost a spouse, or a lung, or a child, or a breast. And they know the truth. You can never go back. But we can be healed, because healing is going forward and finding our new normal. Mesh. Move. Eat. Sleep. And heal. You know, one of the things that comes of living in a world that idolizes youth, that thinks youth is perfect, so we get this idea that adulthood, once attained, is supposed to last forever. We're told in 1,000 different ways that we're all versions of John Wayne. And we're all supposed to die with our boots on. Actually, most humans in most of history didn't live that way. Most humans who lived long enough in most societies around the world and through history actually got to outgrow adulthood and leave it behind and become elders of their people. And we live in a time with too many old people and not enough elders. We need adults to grow up and become the elders we need to be a healthy society. Life is growth all the way through. And there is life beyond adulthood. There's a whole new crazy adventure just waiting for those who outgrow adulthood, just as there's a whole crazy adventure waiting for people who outgrow childhood. It's all good. Now, I've been interested in this second coming of age, this leaving adulthood behind and becoming an elder. And I got interested in that because in American society, that's a dangerous thing to do. How dare you put down your status and your prestige and just walk away for nothing? That's what we're told. In fact, growing up and outgrowing adulthood is dangerous as hell. And that's what makes it great. And a few years ago, I got really interested in danger as a part of aging. And I wound up writing a book that became this novel. It's called Tribes of Eden. And I just want to say, if you ever get interested in writing about danger, write a post-apocalyptic thriller. It's like perfect. It's danger all the way through. And you know the story. The world falls apart again. And whereas usually there's a hairy-chested gentleman waiting to put it back together, that's not the case in this book. In this book, it's the elders who save the world. And in fact, this character, you see her on the cover, her name is Emma. We follow her story through the book, and she is aided and taught by the elders of her community. She lives in a place called the Shire. And Emma and the elders actually save the world. And by this part of the book, Emma is ready to outgrow adulthood and to become a crone, a woman wise with time. So, I would like your permission to take us all to a summer meadow with a rising moon, with stars overhead, and to imagine together 40 women standing in a circle, each holding a lit candle. And in the center is Emma, 57 years old, and her Aunt Hannah. And if you'll come with me, I would like to dedicate this ceremony I'm going to read to you to the women in the audience who are preparing themselves to outgrow adulthood and become an elder of their people. Would you like to come to the Shire? Nate, take us. When the candle held by the oldest crone was alight, the circle was complete. It was Hannah's turn to speak.
A crone understands that she must give before she can receive the gifts of age. Are you prepared for this exchange?
Emma answered, I am. Hannah then escorted her niece to the easternmost point of the circle.
Your limbs once did your bidding without hesitation. Your face was smooth and unblemished, and you knew little of life's worries or cares. Are you willing to set your youth aside?
Emma said, I am.
I offer you elderhood in return. know that your mind and body are just as they should be. You are as you should be. The crone finds new beauty in age. It is a loveliness that the maiden cannot know. Honor this beauty, and it will honor you.
Hannah walked slowly to the south of the circle.
Once, you held within you the potential for bringing forth new life. Now, your wise blood flows no more. Are you willing to surrender the dream of making new life?
Emma laid her hand upon her womb, ready, at last, to leave its aching emptiness behind. And she said, I am.
Then age shall bring you the gift of understanding. Your wisdom, your patience, and your counsel will allow you to guide the young of many mothers.
Hannah found the circle's northern end.
For too long, you've taken the promise of good health for granted. Are you ready to accept weakness and frailty when they come into your life?
I am.
In time. And if fortune favors you, you will enrich the lives of others by allowing them to care for you. I offer you the blessing of knowing how to receive that care gracefully.
Hannah brought Emma to the westernmost point of the circle.
During your youth, you clung to the belief that you were immortal. Are you ready now to surrender that illusion?
Emma said, I am.
Accepting that death will come gives depth to life. As a crone, you will have so much less to fear. I give you the freedom to speak and write and do as you think best.
They returned to the center of the circle, and Hannah said,
In the company of these women, in this place and on this night, you begin a new journey. You are, my dear sweet Emma, a crone of the tribes of Eden.
Their candles raised high. The women came forward to congratulate the Shire's youngest crone. Our time together is almost done. We came here because we were invited to add our voices to this community. And we've been honored to do so. We came here because it's our mission to transform lives and show people how to play life's most dangerous game. And to remind us all that the most dangerous thing of all is to choose. To choose to live and grow our whole life long. And now, before we go, we have one more lesson. It can only be taught in the form of a question. And the question is, even though we rarely think of it, the truth is that a day and an hour will come when we will breathe our last. And the question is, On that day and in that hour, what will those who know and love you best, what will they say of you? On that day and in that hour, will they say of you that you drank from the cup of life and you drained it to its dregs?
If I had to choose the way I was to die, if I could choose the way I was to die, I would go falling through the hot summer sky. I would go falling through the hot summer sky, with ribbons and bows tied to my hands and my feet, with ribbons and bows tied to my hands and my feet. I'd gaze across the world and I would feel complete. Gaze across the world and I would feel complete, and all of my friends would be with me one last time. All of my friends would be with me one last time. And drinking, we would feel so fine. Eating and drinking, we would feel so fine. 2, 3, 4. That's Bill Thomas on the lead guitar. I had to choose the way I was to die. If I could choose the way I was to die, I would go falling through the hot summer sky. I would go falling through the hot summer sky. Ribbons and bows, sing with me, come on. Ribbons and bows tied to my hands and my feet. You know the song by now, right? With ribbons and bows tied to my hands and my feet, I'd gaze across the world and I would feel complete. I'd gaze across the world and I would feel complete. I'd gaze across the world. Gaze across the world.
Gaze across the world.
I'd gaze across the world. feel complete.
Namara McCall,
Yeah.
Nate Silas Richardson,
Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's hear it really loud here for Dr. Bill Thomas. All right, bringing us all together.
Very good.